Have you ever learned the meaning of a Spanish verb, felt really proud of yourself, only to later hear the verb used in a completely different way in real life that makes no sense according to the definition that you learned? This tends to happen most with certain types of verbs that can have wildly different meanings just depending on the context or depending on whether they're used reflexively or not. Today we're going to focus on a verb that I get asked about all the time, quedar. But most importantly, we're going to see how learning this and similar types of verbs isn't all that complicated when you go about it the right way. But if you're new to me, hola, te doy una gran bienvenida. Me llamo Erika Ray. I'm a former Spanish medical interpreter turned Spanish teacher and language coach now living in Mexico. My team and I have helped hundreds of Spanish learners go from simply studying Spanish to actually and confidently using their Spanish in their everyday lives. If you want a step-by-step method that you can follow anytime you're confused by real Spanish, download my Spanish Fluency Blueprint. It shows you exactly how to take real Spanish input and turn it into speaking progress. You can grab that at ericaraylanguage.com/blueprint or check the link below in the description box. Quedar is what we call a multi-meaning, multi-purpose verb, one of those that changes meanings according to the situation. Many learners understandably want to learn all of the meanings of verbs like this to help them understand, and also because it truly adds so much richness to the way that they speak. So they'll look up the verb, they'll write down all the meanings and hope that their brain does the rest. If you're getting in enough input, if you're listening and reading, this can work up to a point for your understanding. But without the spoken practice, what I've seen is that it is very hard for learners to remember how to use these verbs in the different ways that they want it to, even when it's the perfect choice for what they're trying to express at the moment. The key is to stop trying to master the whole entire verb and instead focus on conquering one real life situation at a time. Because the reason you forget these verbs is because you're trying to learn too many unrelated definitions and unrelated example sentences with no true anchor. Your brain remembers meaning through context, not through list. And again, if you would like my entire system of how to learn Spanish based on context, and at the same time include your listening, reading, writing, speaking, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, all the things, then do download a free copy of my Spanish Fluency Blueprint. It's going to walk you through the entire system. So in order to remember how to use verbs like quedar with its multiple meanings in context, you can follow these 3 simple steps. Step 1, pick one real life category, one that matches your real world right now. Why are you learning Spanish? Are you learning it for work, for travel, for life abroad, for family situations? But after you choose that general category, get more specific. Actually picture a scene. If you're learning Spanish for work, this could be a typical conversation, interaction that you typically have with your coworkers or employees. If you're learning for travel, maybe renewing a visa comes up frequently. And no, this does not mean that you're stuck with this category forever. This is just the fastest way to start to learn tricky verbs, especially because you need to be able to visualize a real scene. You have to see it happening in your head like a movie. Step 2, learn the structure. Chunk it. And then you're going to build a mini phrase list. So you don't need a big long list of translations. What you need is to learn those mini patterns that match the real life situation that you chose. You can get ideas for these phrases, these chunks that match the situation that you're looking for from your sources of input, from an AI tool, or from your teacher. In fact, here's a sample AI prompt that you could feed into ChatGPT, for example, to get the juices flowing. I'm learning Spanish and I keep seeing the verb quedar. Don't give me a long list of definitions. Instead, give me 4 to 5 high-frequency patterns, chunks, that native speakers use in real life that I could use while traveling. Repeat the structure. Okay, after you do that, you may get some ideas. For example, for travel, ¿dónde queda el banco? ¿Dónde queda la farmacia? Me queda lejos. Me queda cerca. Okay, we have a group of phrases using the verb quedar and a clear pattern that you can start to recognize. You can see, okay, sometimes I can use quedar like está. ¿Dónde está el banco? ¿Dónde queda el banco? So here you see that quedar could have to do with location or distance. You start to see how it's used with these pronouns like me, even without a big long explanation. You just start to see the pattern. What if you're learning for family situations and you often have to describe emotions or how someone ended up feeling? You could come up with prompts like me quedé agotada después de un largo día de trabajo. Quedó muy contento. Quedé sorprendida. So here you see that quedar can be used for situations of a result or how something or someone ended up. A work pattern, perhaps you get phrases like quedamos en hablar mañana. Quedé en enviar el correo hoy. ¿A qué hora quedamos? And here you see that quedar can be used for an agreement or a plan. Maybe you get some life abroad patterns like me queda un mes para renovar mi visa. Me queda una semana para juntar todos los documentos. Me queda poco tiempo para hacer la cita. And here you see that quedar can be used for a time period. Now, these are just examples, but what is most likely is that in the real life scenario that you chose, if it's very specific as it should be, and you have come up with prompts to use quedar, you're going to be seeing quedar in different ways, which is perfect. So step 3 is to make it yours. You're going to turn this into something that you can remember through role play. This is where the Spanish becomes real because you won't build confidence by memorizing random sentences, even if those sentences belong to the same category. It's still not enough. But when you are role playing these scenarios with a human, everything changes because you're going to be exposed to different speaking styles, accents. One person asks slowly, one person speaks quickly, one uses slang, the other is super formal. That variety trains your brain to understand Spanish in the real world. You also get real curveballs. A person won't respond like a robot or a textbook because they have their own real life situations coming into the conversation. They may bring their own experience into the conversation. Oh yeah, well, this happened to me when I went to renew my visa. They could ask a different follow-up question than the one that you expected. Misunderstand you, and then you need to repeat it in a different way. Okay, this is real life. Language is very human. And above all, speaking with real people on a regular basis gives you the motivation and the accountability that you need to keep showing up. Because if you just try to learn for a little while and then give up or get bored, it's just not going to happen. Obviously, the results are not going to be great. But if you're consistent and regular with your practice, you'll be amazed at your own results. And that consistency, accountability, motivation comes through regular human contact. So let's take a look at what this role play could look like for a person who has come to Mexico on a tourist permit and is interested in eventually transitioning over to temporary residency. Escuchemos la conversación.
Oye, tengo una duda. ¿Tú sabes cómo está eso del residente temporal?
Sí, más o menos. ¿Por qué? ¿Ya lo quieres tramitar?
Sí, ya decidí que sí. Es que me quedan 2 meses antes de que se me venza el permiso de turista.
Ah, ok, sí. Entonces queda poco tiempo. Pero todavía alcanzas.
Eso espero. La verdad sí me da nervios porque siento que hay 1000 pasos.
No te preocupes. Yo te ayudo. ¿Ya sabes dónde te toca hacer el trámite?
No, de hecho no.
Va. Entonces primero hay que ver qué INM te queda más cerca. Luego tienes que revisar bien lo del consulado y los requisitos. Hay varias cosas que preparar.
Ok. ¿Y tú crees que podríamos verlo juntos para que todo quede claro?
Sí, claro. ¿Está bien mañana a las 11?
Perfecto. Así quedamos.
Practicing this and variations of this several times with a person will help you naturally use quedar in a variety of ways without having to remember that it can be used for location or for agreements or to remain or to end up with. It's not going to be necessary for you to have to process all of that because you've just seen the word and used it so many times in chunks in its proper place. And most importantly, in an example that is relevant to you. A quick question for you. Is there any verb that has been driving you crazy lately? Let me know what it is here in the comments below. I might include it in a future video. So the takeaway is simple. Stop memorizing verbs that have many meanings with a list. Learn them through one real-life category that's relevant to you at a time. Focus on the structures and the phrases, the patterns that you can see, not the definitions. And role play the scenario while intentionally using that verb. That's how tricky verbs can become really easy, very quickly. If you want my full process for turning real Spanish into confident speaking, you can start with my Spanish Fluency Blueprint, again at ericarelanguage.com/blueprint. I'll also leave the link below. It'll help you stop guessing about what to do and build real Spanish habits that result in actual speaking confidence, not just more knowledge in your head. And if grammar as a whole feels tricky to you, not just verbs that change meanings, then you have to stop trying to master the grammar and do something else instead. I talk about it in this video, which you can watch next.
It's the best. It makes such a difference because it gives me, I love two things. It's not just the theme, the topic, it's also a grammar point. You know, so there might be a grammar point associated with that topic this month. I've already learned a lot before the next conversation.